What I want to talk about is a really important input and output type in Python or in any language. It's called CSV, comma separated value, and in a CSV file, um, we have data elements separated by commas, and it is a very common file. Right here at data.gov, and tons of data. Most of the federal data that you have information to, state level. Um, there's usually a CSV format. You can see here many CSV options. Um, so, like when any of the U.S. government, Canadian government, Mexican government, there's so many countries report in CSV because it's a really easy read, and it's almost universal because you have Excel reads it in, probably by far the most common way people examine data. But it's not just Windows in the cell. It's CSV can be used in Linux systems and in lots of things. So CSV is just a really common uh, data 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 input that you're going to have, and also a very common output because a lot of times you're asked to output in that. Many times I found myself having to grab off government sites, and the format is CSV. Pull in the file, do whatever I need to do with it in Python or SAS or whatever I'm working with at the moment, and then report my findings in a CSV also. So CSV is important, and we're going to take a look at CSV in Python. So we're going to start a new file here. And I guess for the first quick example, let's try to think of some data. And we're gonna select food data. And this is going to be a really small example. We're going to say pizza. And let's give it a rating of 10. And let's add some more things in here. And let's have a burger. And let's say burgers weren't quite as popular as pizza, but people still liked them. They ranked them as 7. And let's throw in one more for our sample. Let's go taco. People love tacos, and it got ranked as a 10. So let's finish that off. Okay, so we have internal data here that eventually we're going to want to throw in a CSV, and we see in the list we have pizza ranked as a 10, burger ranked as 7, and taco ranked as 10. So we're going to import the CSV module. Oops. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to open it with a with, and let's give it a name. Let's call it foods dot CSV, and we're gonna make sure we have the double quotes there, and we're gonna open it in write mode, and we're gonna say new line equals blank. And that's usually, most likely you could leave that off. You'd be fine. this helps in all OSs, so it's really good to put whenever you use the CSV. Throw in the new line equals double quotes, nothing, and then another double quotes, and it will help standardize that. And I have some off here. Oh, looks like I'm missing double quotes, and so that looks good as file. Okay, so it gives me an indent. We're going to call it, let's see, we can call it whatever we want. We're going to call it write out, because it would be writing out. And we go CSV writer. So we're going to write to a file with the writer method from the CSV module that we imported. And let's call this write out. I just have write. I'll call that write out. And over here, we're going to want to do a write rows. Of food. I have that defined up here as food. Okay, so what this should do, should open the file. It should assign it to a writer, and with that writer we use write rows method for food, and food we have defined up here. So let's run that and see how it works. Oh, it's gonna wanna more. Let's start a new save a new. I don't think we have a 12. Okay. And it has invalid syntax. So let's look at that again and see where I may have goofed up. Okay, so we have some called foods. Oh, there we go. One too many of those. Let's try that again. This time it appeared to work. We didn't print anything. We just wrote out to a file. So let's take a peek. Oh, and we have foods. And let's open it in something. We got a variety of things we could open it in. Excel. Oh, here's an open source version of Excel. We're going to use that. It recognizes it as a separated value file. We can leave them all in there in this case, but there's different separations. There's tab separated files, comma, semicolon, space. Other one, popular one is pipe, is kind of the vertical line. I like to use that a lot, but we're dealing with commas here. These other separators won't hurt. We pull it in, and what we get is everything in different columns. We have food, which pizza is spelled incorrectly. We're missing a Z. But you get the point how valuable this can be, because now the data is like this. You could do some things with it. You could do summations. If you look there at the bottom, that's 27. Spreadsheets are really nice to do a lot of things. In most end results of a lot of your programs in Python or SAS or any other language, you're often requested a CSV because it's so universal. that people could read it into, whether they have to read it into another language, whether they read it into a website, but most likely they're going to read it into Excel. It's just a nice format, really very universal standard. Another thing, and probably the most common thing that you might be doing is reading in different files, like I showed you earlier, those federal government files for the United States government. Let's read in one of those a CSV into Python. So go up here, and I'm gonna comment out this because we're not gonna be messing with it. I don't want to recreate another file. So okay, so this is all commented out. Idle turned it to red, and we know it's a comment. Now we want to write. So we're going to change actually we want to read, so we're going to change the W to R. We can leave everything else the same except for the name. I guess we could read in our file, but I want to read in a bigger file. I want to read in this file called states. Okay, states CSV. And we're going to change it. It says we're not going to be writing out, we're going to be reading in, so let's just change it. It's always good to be descriptive, good habit to get into. So we're going to look at that CSV writer, but this time we're going to be using the reader, and we assign the reader to read in. And when we read in, we're going to assign it list. And we're going to call this read in L for read in list. Okay, so we're going to assign that, and then we're going to print it. Let's print this. We want to see. We make a list. We're going to print it. And what do we call it? Read in L for read in list. And this should do it. Let's test it. And we're just gonna leave this up here. I'm gonna fix that because that's kind of bugging me. There we go. And let's run. Okay. So what we did here was we read in this CSV, and then we assigned it to a list. And what it did, you can see the state file probably has, and it actually had a header up here at the top, a state and then a state abbreviation. So it's state, comma, abbreviation. And see how that all gets pulled in nicely into a list. So it just nicely populated a list for us. So being that it's a list, and we just, if we wanted to just look at, let's say, let's go 1 past the header, maybe 2 past the header. Let's go for a let's go see what's at number 9. I shut this down. Can run it. Okay. And this looks like it was a 50 states plus the District of Columbia in there. So what it did, it pulls everything into that list, and then once it's a list, we could do all sorts of things with it. We have the, let's see, we have the ability to get any element of the list, and we're going to go to the header, which should be at index of 0. And let's run that one more time. And we have our state abbreviation and then Florida. So it nicely threw it into a list in which we can then use in our program. And like I said, there's a lot of things out there. Census data, just tons of information out there from the federal government in CSVs. And it's also a really common way that different areas in businesses do their communication. They might have a list of customers and a CSV. Accounting department might have a list of monthly revenue in a CSV. So it's just some that's used very, very extensively, and almost a universal type of file out there.